Cracking multiple rounds of AI/ML interviews for any company, especially product-based startup companies, seems to be tough nut to crack. But if it is approached with a proper strategy and planning, then it is possible and it can be done smoothly. So in this video, I am going to basically discuss some tips which will help you to crack any AI/ML interview in product-based startup companies. When I say product-based startup companies, why? Because these companies will test you thoroughly, okay, and in a very strict manner. So that's why if you are able to crack these interviews, then you will be able to crack other AI/ML interviews easily. So now, basically, I have gone through this journey and I have cracked the interviews. So now in this video, I am going to tell my experience while I appeared for these interviews and how I basically learned the things. So the first is, don't panic in DSA round. Generally, in most of the companies, the DSA round is the first round for any interview, where most candidates fail in DSA interviews not because they don't know the solution, but because they panic. The moment the interviewer gives a question, candidates start thinking, okay, then clock is ticking. I need to solve this fast. I need to rush and I need to give the perfect answer. And that pressure destroys your thinking ability. But the reality is very different. In most technical interviews, a medium DSA problem gets around 30 to 45 minutes. That is enough. There is a lot of time. Good interviewers actually want to observe how you think. They are not waiting for the perfect code or the perfect logic. Not just whether you reach the final code quickly doesn't mean that you are not good at problem solving. So the right approach is always spend a few minutes understanding the problem, then clarify the constraints. Okay, you can ask the questions from interview that what they are expecting, then think aloud about the possible approaches. Always start with the brute force approach and then start coding. DSA problems require presence of mind, and presence of mind disappears when you rush. So slow down, think clearly, and communicate your reasoning properly. Then the second tip or the second thing the students are basically always anxious about is explaining your project. There is a particular way to explain your AI/ML projects in interviews. Many candidates make a huge mistake here. So when they explain a project, they just say, I worked on a fake news detection project using deep learning. That's it. But stop there. If you say this, your interview will also end like this only. This tells the interviewer almost nothing. Okay, so instead you should explain the project like you can say like a short technical story kind of thing. That, for example, if I take one example, for same project can be explained like this: that I built a fake news detection system using an LSTM based model. The input to the model was text articles that were first converted into token sequences using a tokenizer. And then these sequences were then passed through an embedding layer, followed by LSTM layers to capture contextual patterns. The output layer produced a probability score indicating whether the news was fake or real. So what I explain in this, now in this I explain about the model, how does it work, input and output. Okay, now the interviewer has context. They can ask questions, okay, or they will have some follow up questions. They can ask that why did you choose LSTM instead of transformers, how did you pre-process the data, okay, what loss function did you use. So basically, if he is able to ask these questions, he will get more clarity. Okay, he can ask how did you handle class imbalance. Okay, so give an opportunity to interviewer that he can ask some questions. Okay, so you should be prepared for those questions, of course. So when discussing projects, always be ready to answer three things, okay, or explain three things. First is what you built. Next, why you built it that way. Next, what is input and output data and how does it look like I explained, right? What you would improve if you did it again. And that shows real understanding. Okay, they can ask what else you could do, anything like that. So this is how you explain. Third is, take a moment to think before you answer. This is another tip. Third tip: many candidates feel pressure to answer immediately, but strong candidates do something different. When they hear a question, they pause for a few seconds. Okay, and then they think that how to answer this question, what he's expecting. They think and then they answer. So this small habit shows confidence and clarity. If you are in hurry to answer, then it will not lead to anywhere. Interviewers always appreciate it because it shows that you are thinking carefully instead of guessing. So if you get a technical question, like suppose you can say that explain how backpropagation works. Suppose the interviewer asks this question. So how would you answer it? It is perfectly fine to just say this. Let me take a moment to structure the explanation, then start explaining clearly. So in this way, calm thinking beats fast guessing. So be careful about it and take your time. The fourth tip is understand the fundamentals, not just tools. It will help you a lot in AIML interviews because AIML interviews are not about tools. Anyone can say that I use TensorFlow, I use PyTorch, I use Hugging Face. Okay, but interviews care about the concepts behind the tools. They might ask things like that why do we use cross entropy loss? What problem does regularization solve? What are the ways to prevent overfitting? What happens if the learning rate is too high or too small? What is the intuition behind attention mechanism in the transformer? So these questions check whether you understand the foundation. So tools change very quickly, okay, but concepts stay relevant. So focus on understanding the core ideas behind algorithms, not just running libraries. That can be done in one day, right? Or that can be learned in one day. That's not the issue. Now, the fifth tip is think out loud during the interview. Now, what does it mean? Interviews are not mind readers. Okay, if you stay silent while thinking, they cannot evaluate your thought process. Okay, so and especially about DSA. Okay, so even if your final answer is wrong, showing your reasoning can still impress them. For example, in a coding problem or in any DSA problem, you might say that that first I am thinking about a brute force solution, but that would be O n square time complexity, which might be too slow. So maybe we can use a hash map to reduce the complexity to O n. Something like this. Means tell them that basically explanation. Tell them that how do you think. Now the interviewer sees how you approach problems, and that's what they want to check. They see your logical thinking. Okay, they are not waiting for your perfect code. Okay, so that often matters more than the final answer. So most candidates think interviews are about giving perfect answers, but in reality interviews are about showing how you think as an engineer. So if you stay calm, communicate your reasoning properly, understand your projects deeply, and focus on fundamentals, you will already stand out from a large percentage of candidates in AIML interviews. So this is what I wanted to tell you in this video. Still, if you have any doubt, you can put it in the comment section. I will reply. Okay. So, and if you want such AIML career advices or interview tips or the concept clarity, then you can follow and subscribe to Concepts of AI. Let us meet in the next video.